So I grew up in an Orthodox neighborhood in Eastern Queens. My family's from Eastern Europe. They all came here 150 years ago, right after Tsar Alexander II was assassinated. And they smelled trouble. But I grew up in a religious neighborhood, but I was not religious. My family is what we kind of made this term up, but it has meaning. Non-practicing Orthodox Jews, basically. We're not Reformed, we're not conservative. We understand all the importance of Orthodox. We don't try and change the rules, but we just don't follow most of them.
That's really easy to say.
I found out about this when I think it was in December. I got a text on my Instagram account, which I don't use Instagram. I don't even have a photo. Got a text by an individual named Guy. He goes to Queens College. and he just asked, "Are you a Jewish student in NYC?" And I thought it was a scam. I hesitantly responded with yes, why, and we got into it, and I got involved. One thing that's very important, because my prompt was about Jewish leadership, is standing by your convictions, even if it costs you everything. So I want to talk a little bit about my great-grandfather, who I kind of try and aspire to be like. His name was Isidore Cohen. He was...
Is he Jewish?
Yeah, he was the son of poor Eastern European Jewish immigrants. He became an engineer, and he rose through the ranks of city government. He was superintendent of buildings first for Brooklyn, then Manhattan, and then the Bronx. He was uncorruptible, unbribable, which was unusual. People would routinely give him bottles of Dom Perignon and boxing tickets to try and get him into their good graces, but it never worked. He was very orthodox, and and that moral code came from that. He also his integrity was his undoing in his career. Then Mayor Ed Koch was. For those of you who know, he had a line, he was known for it, where he would ask people, "How am I doing? How am I doing?" And there was only one acceptable answer. You were only allowed to say, the only acceptable answer was to tell me he was doing great. But my great-grandfather took it as an honest question. And he gave an honest answer, and at that point, Mayor Koch decided that it was time to permanently retire him. I was actually named for him. My Hebrew name, two names, Katriel Eliyahu. Katriel is for Isidore Cohen. But standing by your convictions is more important. It's just as important now as it ever has been. Jews are a small minority of a minority. There are only 15 million or so in the world. There are less now than there were 100 years ago. And it kind of took October 7th for me to see that. I don't call it October 7th. I call it Simchas Torah, because I think just calling it October 7th lessens it. The large Palestinian terrorists committed the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, and before the bodies were even cold, the whole Palestinians, the rest of the world at large, including many Americans, started accusing Jews and Israelis of committing the same crimes that were just committed against them. And it will cost you greatly if you stand by a moral code and don't just give in. It's tempting to go to moral relativism and start saying, "Oh, two sides," but you have to stay strong. And you know what? Even though it will cost you, people will respect you in the end more for it. Thank you.